Hello there, fellow papper jerks. Guess what? I've stumbled upon the most revolutionary product in the world, in the CPAP world, really probably since the bleep masks. This is an absolute game changer for really almost, I say almost anyone who's using CPAP therapy. This is it, the VCOM. Doesn't really fit the laugh test or the look test, does it? Let me tell you exactly what this thing does. I'm gonna tell you right now though. This video, just the thought of it is overwhelming, and I've hit record and stop on that button more times than I can count, but I gotta record this thing. This is it, the VCOM. Now this video is gonna be super basic. There is so much information on this that is overwhelming me, so I'm gonna stick, like I said, to the absolute basics. What does this do? Well, let's first see where you stick it. So tubing and mask, you just put it right there in line. Now we'll do a demonstration of this shortly, but what happens is when you breathe in against this, you get a flow regulator effect. The air can't come in as fast, so you don't get that rush. So when you inhale, you have a lot of dead space that your PAP device is trying to blow a lot of air through. It's trying to really pump it up because it's trying to maintain a specific pressure. And if these holes are here, it's slowing that down so you don't get that blast of air. That blast of air is what can blow your mouth open and is what can cause air to go into your stomach. So the VCOM here, let's make that more smooth. So the VCOM here is a flow regulator that helps prevent mouth leaking as well as aerophagia. Two massively huge problems for users of CPAP therapy. So some other things I noticed while using this is when you're breathing in, because you don't have that ramp up of pressure, your machine stays extremely quiet. What you're also left with is a true EPAP, a true single level of CPAP. It is truly a CPAP machine. There is no when you're breathing. That was a hella sweet impersonation of a CPAP machine. Now for me to call this revolutionary, to me, is a huge deal. There's not much I call revolutionary. And my reputation online as someone who doesn't peddle bullshit and instead calls bullshit out when I see it. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Airing. I'm looking at you, Inspire. Even those O2 rings to a small degree. So very quick explanation as to how I even discovered this in the first place. I was doing a PAP therapy analysis with someone who lives at a high elevation, roughly 5,000 feet, very lean build. They're having treatment emergent sleep centrals. So we tried several different pressures and really central apneas were still persisting. Now they happen to be using the bleep mask. If you're not familiar with bleep, I have several videos on it, look it up. But they were having problems with leaking, and so they contacted the founder of that, Stuart Hetherington, who happens to be a respiratory therapist.
Which is why he says sonomers.
And he said, hey, why don't you try this thing called the VCOM? Next time I met with this person, I was like, whoa, what happened? You're using the same pressures we used before that weren't working. And he said, yeah, I put this thing VCOM in, you should take a look at it. And he sent me some papers. So I delved into it myself. I noticed that a lot of people reported aerophagia decreasing and a lot of people reported mouth leaking decreasing or being fully eliminated. And I said, holy...
Don't cuss, this is a Christian cat channel.
Heck, I've got to try that out. That's how I got interested in it. I reached out to the company. I said, hey, company, say SleepRes, can I get a sample of this? I want to try it. And so I did. Now I'm recording this video on April 11th. I've been using this, the VCOM, since late November. I've been sitting on this for so long, honestly, because I feel ridiculous even promoting this, saying this is the next best thing ever. But it really is. Now guys, this is ridiculous, but please listen to this. I'm gonna start my advertisement right now, but it actually really ties into the whole story of this. All right, Cpapsuppliescom is sponsoring this video. When I found the VCOM and I had been using it, about 2 months later, I'm like, man, this thing is the next best thing ever. I wanna sell it because I wanna make some loot off of it. And yet at the same time, I was like, God, that's too much work. I don't really wanna do that. I just wanna stick with what I enjoy doing, making videos and meeting with you guys, doing PAP therapy analysis. That's all I wanna do, and some occasional home sleep testing. So I reached out to Cpapsupplies.com. I said, guys, you really need to look into this product, the VCOM. It's fascinating, it's amazing, and it's a pretty low price point. It's a fantastic product to carry. And they said, oh, Jocelyn, we already carry it. You should actually check out our site more often. And I said, oh, you do? Okay. So they do, they carry it. And here's the interesting part. As part of the VCOM folks, which is SleepRes, as part of SleepRes's research, they had 47 people that were using CPAP. They tried the VCOM on every single one of them. And of the 47, 46 of those people said, yeah, using the VCOM makes me more likely to use CPAP long term, and it just makes me more likely to use CPAP, period. Then they said they upped the ante. They said, hey, what if you had to pay $35 for it? And some of them said, well, and what they were left with is 39 of the original 47 said, yeah, I'll pay $35 for this thing. It matters that much to me. Let me do you one better. Because Cpapsuppliescom sponsors my videos, you can get 20% off of that. If you use discount code 20lanky in the discount code section, I'll show it to you right now, you will save 20% off your order. So yeah, you're getting that in the mid 20 range. So yes, I think it's that good. So I think that the VCOM is so good, I am willing to risk my reputation on it. I think it works that well. Now I'm about to show you my data here, but before I do, I want to mention one more thing. In doing PAP therapy analysis, I've been telling people who have problems with mouth leaking and people who have problems with aerophagia, hey, I'm trying this on a lot of people. It worked on me. If you want to try it, it costs $35. Let me know if it works for you. And I would say that the data I just shared with you, the 46 out of 47, I would say it's probably less than that. And to me, it seems like it's more people in the range of the 10 to 20 that it works really well for. People below that just tend to feel a little air starved. But if you're in that higher pressure range, that 10 to 12 all the way up to 20, I think it works really, really well for you people. Now I'm gonna show you my data right now, and then after that, we're gonna go ahead and do a sample of what the sound sounds like with VCOM.
So this is the love of my life, Oscar. Open source CPAP analysis reporter. If you want to get it, look at sleepfiles.com/Oscar. There's a README file when you import or when you download it. Read those, because if you have problems downloading it and getting it installed, that's going to tell you how to do that. Okay, enough about that. I can nerd out on this stuff all day long. So this is the Air Touch N20 with VCOM and no tape. Now this is at 12. And look at this leak rate going along. Now, the N20 AirTouch is an inherently leaky mask, but there is no mouth leaking with the exception of maybe right here during the night, possibly there too. But overall, a pretty clean night. Now, this pressure is much, much higher at 15. Now, this is actually where I got some aerophagia. This is what pushed me over the edge, but I did have to use tape at this pressure. Now this is 10 with the AirTouch N20. Again, no tape, but the VCOM was in. No tape again. We have some sputtering at the end of the night. Again with no tape, and then the pressure is at 10 right here. Really, we're looking at this leak rate value. Now I went to the Brevita with tape because the N20 was kind of leaky, and I wanted to see, get a good baseline. This pressure was at 10. I believe that's actually too low for me. So Brevita with tape, VCOM used without tape with the Brevita. Now you can see a better leak profile here. This is at 10 centimeters of water. Now this is at 12 using the Bleep Eclipse with the VCOM and no tape at 12 centimeters of water. Look at that leak. That's a true leak. No tape. This is probably the best sample of leak. Now this right here, I don't know if you ever heard, but the Bleep Halos had a problem with the adhesion around the discs. That's a really good representation of it peeling off in the middle of the night. Now let's go ahead and fast forward. This is when I actually started the trial of seeing what I could get away with, and I was using the exact same mask. I was using the Brevita because I was getting very good leak rates on it. So this is with no tape at 10. Nice. Now this is with, again, no tape, and this is at 12. Now we have 12 again, same setup, no tape and no leaking using the VCOM. Now here we went up to 13 centimeters of water, and you can see that I'm not taping and I have a pretty good size mouth leak here at the beginning of the night. Last part of the night actually tapers off a bit. And then here we try 14. Now 14 without tape is a definite no-go. I was also getting quite a bit of aerophagia. pretty good size, sizable mouth leaks, but all in all, a pretty good sample. If you want to know what a lot of this stuff means, hit me up, AXG Sleep Diagnostics. I can do a PAP therapy analysis session with you.
All right, welcome back, jerks. Now we're going to listen to the sound of this. Now this is 12 centimeters of water without the VCOM in. Listen to how it sounds. And now I'm going to put the VCOM in line. And now listen to how it sounds. Interesting stuff, yeah? But check this out. Now, like a lot of people, I have a mask rotation that I use, and this is the N30i. I use it actually quite often. Now listen to the sound of this with 12 centimeters of water. Now we'll put the VCOM in. Now, did you hear how much louder that got? Now I have this. I have the climate line tube. Now that sound is because I'm using a mask that has an attachment up on the top of the head. So the Dreamwear, any of the Dreamwear products would fall right into this. The F30i would fall into this category as well. If you put it on the top of your head, it sounds much, much louder with the VCOM in. So here's what you gotta do. You gotta take the climate line tubing out because it has that little electrical attachment that gets in the way. And you have to use, so now I can take the cheap fucker tubing and plug the VCOM into that and plug this into the back of my machine. And now when I turn on the pressure, the VCOM is still gonna be having an effect, but it's not gonna be affecting the turbulence up at the top of this mask. So now listen to it. There, just a little trick I learned while using the VCOM. Now, more about my personal experience with it. I did take the VCOM out of my circuit for about 3 or 4 days since November, and every time I did, I noticeably felt worse. And what I found is I think it's actually low-level aerophagia. Now, I want to be clear. Some of the things that I experienced early with the VCOM, such as no mouth leaking without the use of tape, that's actually more hit and miss. I would say it's probably 3 out of 4 nights I don't mouth leak. So I just use tape anyway. But if you're really adverse to tape, or maybe you have a beard or mustache and you aren't able to tape, hey, 3 out of 4 nights is better than 0 out of 4 nights. Now, I take great pride in kind of being an advocate for the CPAP community. I like to point out scams when I see them. I like to point out things that are probably dangerous to you, things that are worthless to you. So when I say that this is a revolutionary product, I really, really mean it. I do think that this is something that everyone could at least try, and it is at a price point that's probably not gonna break your wallet if you do. I say that as a consumer, as someone who's super cheap. Me trying out the VCOM and me trying without the VCOM, there's a noticeable difference. It is really comfortable. One of their sayings is it's like the, what do they say? The training wheels of CPAP. It is. It makes it very pleasant. In fact, I would actually liken it to an EPR setting of 3 in terms of, yeah, it feels comfortable, but it's also very detrimental to your therapy. Versus the VCOM, yeah, it's very comfortable, but it actually also seems to really help your therapy. And to me, that's just a win-win. So if you're someone that uses EPR, you're someone that has a lot of mouth leaking, you're someone that experiences a lot of aerophagia, I would say definitely give the VCOM a try. If you do, please purchase it from the sponsor of this channel, the sponsor of this video, Cpapsuppliescom. And I'm going to have a lot more videos on this VCOM device because there is some really nerdy stuff in there. It is really in the weeds, and I'm not 100% sure I understand all of it yet myself. I'm gonna make sure I really wrap my little pea brain around on it before I share it with you guys. I know this was a long video. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Thank you to all watching, but an extra thick thanks, buddy, to Doug Toombs, Jason Georgiades, Patricia Espelong, Sarvesh Joshi, Stuart Hetherington, Mona Swearingen, Chungtu Chen, Edward Steiner, and Shannon Kerr, and another slightly less thick, thanks buddy, to all the other YouTube members, Patreon supporters, and other stuff.